I am Charles IX, King of France, and my story begins in 1560, a time of both great promise and tremendous upheaval. Born Charles Maximilien in 1550, I was thrust into a world of privilege, power, and peril. At the tender age of 10, following the untimely death of my older brother, François II, I ascended to the throne. I was but a child, and my kingdom was torn apart by religious strife. The weight of the crown pressed heavily upon my young shoulders. France in my time was a nation divided. The wars of religion raged fiercely, pitting Catholics against Protestants, Huguenots, in bloody conflict. As a boy king, I relied heavily on my mother, the indomitable Catherine de Medici. She was my guide, my mentor, and often the true wielder of power. Her cunning and political acumen kept the fragile peace of the kingdom, though her methods were not without controversy. She sought to balance power between warring factions, employing diplomacy, marriage alliances, and even force when necessary. My early reign was marked by attempts at reconciliation. In 1570 we achieved the Peace of Saint-Germain, granting religious freedoms to the Huguenots. This uneasy truce, however, was merely a prelude to one of the darkest chapters of my reign. In 1572, my sister Marguerite de Valois was wed to Henri of Navarre, a prominent Protestant leader. The marriage was meant to symbolize unity, but instead, it became the catalyst for tragedy. I remember vividly the tension that gripped Paris during those days. The city was flooded with Protestant nobles who had come to celebrate the wedding. But beneath the veneer of celebration lay a simmering cauldron of hatred and mistrust. On the night of August 23, 1572, the feast of Saint Bartholomew, chaos erupted. The massacre that followed was a nightmare, a bloodbath that would stain my reign forever. They call it the Saint Bartholomew's Day massacre. Thousands of Huguenots were slaughtered in the streets of Paris and beyond. Some say it was my mother's doing, others blame my counselors. As for me, I was overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. They say I gave the order, but in truth, I was but a young man caught in the tides of history, too weak to resist the forces around me. The screams of that night still haunt my dreams. The massacre shattered any hope of reconciliation. It branded me as a tyrant in the eyes of the Protestant world and deepened the fractures within my kingdom. I tried to rule justly in the years that followed, but the weight of guilt and the unending strife took their toll on my health and spirit. I turned to the arts and letters for solace, patronizing poets and scholars. I even wrote poetry myself, seeking refuge in the realm of imagination. Yet, my body and mind were failing. By 1574, I was but a shadow of the boy who had ascended the throne 14 years earlier. Tuberculosis consumed me, and I knew my end was near. On my deathbed, I reflected on the bitter irony of my life, born to rule, yet powerless to heal the wounds of my kingdom. My younger brother, Henri III, would inherit the throne, and I prayed he might succeed where I had failed. As I breathed my last on May 30, 1574, I left behind a legacy steeped in blood and sorrow. My reign was a testament to the complexities of power, the fragility of peace, and the inescapable burden of kingship. History may judge me harshly, but I was, above all, a man shaped by the tumultuous times in which I lived. I am Charles IX, and this was my story.